Have you ever looked at someone and wondered how they changed so much, while you still feel like the same person? Not because you weren't trying. You kept showing up. You kept telling yourself to trust the process. Yet somehow, they seemed to move months ahead while you barely noticed yourself moving at all. That's what makes it so frustrating. Because if hard work automatically created rapid improvement, the hardest working people would always end up becoming exceptional. They don't. Some people seem to improve every single week. Others spend years repeating the same effort and still stay exactly where they started. What are they doing that everyone else isn't? Sung Jin-Woo looks like proof that working harder wins. We watch Solo Leveling and see someone who simply worked harder than everyone else, but thousands of hunters risked their lives inside dungeons. Most barely changed. Only one of them changed this quickly. The difference wasn't just the system. It was the way Jin-Woo used it, and that's the part almost everyone misses. Most people think experience automatically makes you better. It doesn't. Experience only guarantees that something happened. It doesn't guarantee you learned anything from it. Think about driving. You've probably met someone who's been behind the wheel for 20 years and still makes everyone nervous at a four-way stop. 20 years of experience can still be 1 year of learning repeated 20 times. That's because repetition and learning aren't the same thing. Most hunters inside Solo Leveling entered a dungeon with one goal: get out alive. But somewhere along the way, Jin-Woo's focus began to change. He wasn't trying to clear another dungeon. He was trying to understand it. Every difficult enemy became another question. Was he too slow? Would a different skill work? Or could he approach the fight another way? He kept treating every challenge like an experiment. Jin-Woo wasn't collecting victories. He was collecting answers. Most don't quit because they're tired. They quit because they stop believing today's effort is changing tomorrow. You spent weeks going to the gym. The mirror barely changes. You upload another project. It disappears into the internet without anyone noticing. And after enough days like that, a dangerous thought quietly sneaks in. Maybe this just isn't working. And once that thought settles in, motivation doesn't disappear overnight. It slowly packs its bags. Educational researcher John Hattie found that one of the strongest influences on learning is feedback. Not because feedback makes people feel good. Your brain can tolerate hard work. It struggles with unanswered questions. Did that actually work? Without an answer, your brain starts guessing. And human beings are surprisingly good at guessing the worst. That's one advantage the system gave Jin-Woo that almost no other hunter had. Every dungeon answered the question he cared most about. Did that make me stronger? Sometimes the answer was yes. Sometimes the answer nearly killed him. Either way, he left with an answer. Every fight changed the way he approached the next one. He experiments with different stat allocations instead of dumping everything into one attribute. He tests new skills against increasingly dangerous enemies. Even shadow extraction isn't something he magically masters. The system wasn't simply handing him power. It kept giving him answers. Imagine learning darts without a dartboard. You'd eventually stop blaming your aim and start blaming yourself. That's how a lot of people approach their own goals. They keep throwing, but they never stop long enough to see where anything landed. Most people ask, did I finish? Jin-Woo kept asking, what did this fight just teach me? One question measures effort. The other creates improvement. Don't let today's effort disappear. Find one piece of evidence that tells you whether it worked. Effort only compounds when learning does. Many don't stop after failing. They stop after deciding what the failure means. One bad interview, and suddenly you're not leadership material. One video underperforms, and now you think you lost your touch. It's amazing how quickly our brains turn one result into an identity. Failure feels heavier than it should because we rarely leave it alone. We replay it on the drive home, in the shower, at 2 in the morning when our brain suddenly decides, you know what'd be fun? Let's revisit that embarrassing moment from 3 years ago. Instead of asking, what happened? We quietly start asking, what's wrong with me? That's the moment learning usually stops. Psychologist Carol Dweck's research suggests the people who keep improving aren't asking, am I good at this? They're asking, what should I try next? People with a growth mindset don't pretend failure feels good. They simply refuse to treat it as the final answer. The result is information, not identity. Watch how Jin-Woo fights someone stronger than himself. The first exchange tells him what doesn't work. The second changes. The third changes again. By the end of the fight, he isn't the same fighter who started it. Jin-Woo isn't just fighting the enemy, he's gathering information. Too slow. Wrong timing. That skill isn't enough yet. He keeps updating his approach while the fight is still happening. Jin-Woo wasn't trying to prove he was already strong enough. He was trying to discover what strength still required. One goal protects your pride. The other accelerates your growth, which is why failure rarely kept him in the same place for long. The fight ended. The lesson didn't. The next time something goes badly, instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what did this reveal that I couldn't see before? A mistake only becomes failure if the next attempt looks exactly the same. There's a strange moment that quietly ends a lot of people's growth. Nothing goes wrong. In fact, everything starts going right. The work gets familiar. The surprises disappear. It feels like you've made it. Sometimes you just stopped learning. Success quietly changes the questions you ask. It convinces you to keep proving what you already know. You order the same meal because you know you'll like it. You keep solving the kinds of problems you've already mastered. Life becomes smoother, but your learning quietly slows down. Comfort doesn't usually arrive wearing a villain's cape. It arrives looking like efficiency. That's why the edge matters. Not because it's uncomfortable, because it's informative. Psychologist Lev Vygotsky described learning as happening just beyond what we can comfortably do. Too easy, and the brain stops adapting. Too difficult, and you become overwhelmed. Real growth lives in the narrow space where success is uncertain, but still possible. Jin-Woo stopped measuring success by winning. He started measuring it by learning. Notice what Jin-Woo almost never does. Once something becomes predictable, he doesn't stay there for very long. The next dungeon isn't just stronger, it's more revealing. Every stronger enemy exposed a weakness that weaker enemies never could. A weak monster only tells you what you've already learned. So his growth never stayed still for long. Imagine you've learned only enough Spanish to order coffee. By year 5, you'll be the fastest coffee orderer in the country. Ask for directions, and you're back to pointing at things and hoping for the best. Comfort makes you incredibly good at repeating yesterday. This might be the biggest difference between people who plateau and people who keep growing. One keeps proving what they already know. The other keeps searching for what they don't. If something feels easy for too long, it's probably stopped teaching you. Keep looking for your next limitation. That's usually where your next breakthrough is waiting. The hardest part of leveling up isn't finding the truth. It's deciding what to do after you found it. You miss a deadline. I've just been busy. You bomb an interview. They probably already had someone in mind. Sometimes those explanations are true, but they also protect us from asking the harder truth. What if there's something here I need to change? You can spend an entire year telling yourself you're becoming better while quietly repeating the same mistakes. Because admitting that approach didn't work feels a lot less comfortable than insisting, I just need more time. Every excuse is a decision. It just doesn't feel like one. Every hunter in solo leveling could walk away from a difficult fight thinking, I'm glad that's over. Jin-Woo walked away asking, good. Now I know what needs to change. The system simply showed him reality. Everything after that was a choice. Jin-Woo kept choosing to respond again and again. That's the mindset that separated Jin-Woo from almost every other hunter. He didn't enter every fight trying to prove he was strong. He expected every fight to reveal how to become stronger. So he entered every dungeon ready to adapt. The next time something doesn't go your way, remember, seeing the truth doesn't change your life. Choosing differently does. Maybe that's why two people can spend the same amount of time doing the same thing and end up becoming completely different people. The difference wasn't time. It was what they allowed time to do to them. Every fight gave Jin-Woo a choice. Repeat yesterday or return different. Those small decisions made him the Shadow Monarch. The system gave Jin-Woo the opportunity to change. His responses determined who he became. Life will keep presenting the same lesson until your response changes. That didn't work. The question is what you'll do with that answer. Every hunter entered the dungeon. Jin-Woo was the one who walked out different. The question is, will you